Hello, this is Pastor Ed of the Guardians of Truth Evangelistic Association, and welcome once again to Word Wealth. This is a presentation of our Evangelistic Association. It's little short videos featuring teaching out of God's Word, designed for the internet and webcasting. Once we do have a complete series done, these will be available on DVD for those who would like to have one. You can see contact information rolling on the credits of this presentation, and contact us and we will get this for you. We've been looking at truth. We started in our last episode, and we're going to continue today and possibly one or two more before we finish this series on truth. And our series is based out of Psalms 25 verse 5, and it reads, "Lead me in your truth and teach me, for you are the God of my salvation. On you I wait all the day." In our last episode, we found out that truth, as in the original Hebrew here in the psalm, is the word emet, which means stability, certainty, righteousness, rightness, and trustworthiness. And it's very important that we understand that truth is something that's very real. Jesus said in John 14:6, and we mentioned this in our last episode, Jesus says, "For I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father but by me." But in this episode, I want us to look at something that has risen up in our culture and our society in the last few years, and it is the idea that truth is relative. And I want to share a few things with you. George Barna recently conducted a poll to see where Americans stood on truth and morality, and what he found was shocking. 3-1 said that truth was relative. Now, what does that mean? It means it's our own personal preference as to what is right and what is wrong, what is true and what is not. 83% of teens embrace this cultural relativism, and only 32% of Christians, those professing a personal relationship with Christ, believe that morals and truth are objective. Now that is quite scary. And given the nature of the church today and some of the things that's going on within the church, it's really troublesome. Really troublesome. Among Christian teens, that number drops down to 9%. So here are the questions that we all must decide for ourselves. And we've got to take a look at this, and really we need to be thinking about where we stand on this topic, because it is quite important. The first thing that we need to decide is truth true, or is it a matter of personal preference, like choosing a favorite color or our favorite flavor of ice cream? Is that what truth is? It's whatever we want it to be? I'm afraid it's not. The second thing that we've got to decide is, are morals real? In other words, is it up to us to decide right and wrong, or is it something outside of us, namely God, that determines that what we should do and how we should do it? What is right to be done and what is wrong to be done? What is true and what is not true? The worldview says, well, I happen to think that certain things are right and wrong, but other people may think differently, so I don't want to judge them. Isn't it funny how people who, people who are just so wrapped up in sin, they'll say stuff like, We shouldn't judge people. I don't believe in judging people, and I hate people that judge people. And the church, they're just so judgmental. Well, it's funny. There's a little statement. It's called an argument to commit suicide, and that means as soon as you say something, it's already wrong. And it's like saying that my brother is an only child. Obviously that's wrong. And people that say, I don't think that we should judge people, I don't like people who judge others, what are they doing? They're casting judgment. In other words, they're judging people. They're judging the church. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But people say we shouldn't judge. Never mind the fact that by saying that, they're judging us. They say we shouldn't do it. I mentioned it last episode. I was speaking at a Christian high school, and I asked the students, do you think that it was evil for men, or do you think it was right for men to fly jetliners into the World Trade Centers and into the Pentagon? Or were they simply acting on their personal preference? And folks, the answer I got was absolutely astounding. Remember, this was a Christian high school, and the answer I got from several students was, I personally feel that it was wrong, but we shouldn't voice our views on other people. It may not have been wrong for them. It was just in the news the other day that Osama bin Laden, one of the masterminds behind the World Trade Center bombings, was found and killed by American soldiers, and I applaud our soldiers. Osama bin Laden thought that it was true, that it was the right thing to murder thousands of Americans. What's right and what's wrong? Who decides that? Who decides? Is it our personal? I personally believe it was wrong. Obama thought it was right. Who's true? Which one's telling the truth? According to God's word, Osama bin Laden was wrong. Folks, we are in the fight of our lives. And we must decide if we're going to stand up for Christ and make our voices heard, or are we going to continue to be marginalized in the devil's rhetoric? You think about that. Goodbye.